It's nervous system regulation all the way. Like, I feel like that is something that can be so overlooked because it's not sexy or flashy. It's actually very calm and grounded. But that is everything to me. I mean, the way that I know the nervous system works, it's like when we're not regulated in our nervous system, that's when we go into that survival mode and our view of like both physically and emotionally and like creatively it shrinks because we're just focused on survival. But when we can keep the nervous system regulated or have the ability to recognize when we slip back into that dysregulation and survival mode, but yeah, when we can make that a priority, we can access so much more of our creativity, of the possibilities, and yeah, opportunities that are right in front of us.
Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here. I really do appreciate investing your time and energy into tuning in to today's episode. I'm super excited for today's guest. We have Indigo Marigold. She is a somatic business mentor and host of the Safe to Shine podcast. Indigo, thank you so much for being here today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Vanessa.
Who are you and who are you not?
I love this question. I feel like I could take it in so many directions, like the deep answer or the human answer. I feel like yeah, I'm a creative, I'm an artist, I'm like a fairy mermaid woodland creature. And I'm also a human who is passionate about leading business in an authentic way and just like pouring our creativity into it and making it this gift to the world and helping other people put their work out into the world in a way that feels really authentic and heart-centered and like it's being led with human connection. I've come up with my own frameworks for sales and marketing and branding that just feel better in my heart. And yeah, who I am not is someone who just yeah approaches business in a way that's like forceful or pressure or manipulative. All of the traditional sales and marketing tactics like never resonated for me and felt super icky. And so yeah, I'm someone who loves leading with connection and resonance and like energetic safety, really.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Energetic safety. I like that word.
Ooh, I just came through.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, is that something you say often?
It's
Can I
not.
borrow it? Can I
It's
start
cool.
saying that? Energetic safety.
Yeah. I love podcasting with other people and collaborating because this is just like another thing that I'm passionate about is how when you put two beings together, like just different sides of us come out, different words come through me depending on who I'm talking to.
Yes. Because like there's a third energy that we created with our own energies, and it's this third energy in the triangle that is creating another flavor of personality and conversation. So I love that.
100%, totally.
Good. All right. So as we dive in, before we dive into the deep stuff, I always like to talk about like where you were before where you are now. Like how did you even get to this point? So you had a life in corporate world and then you like left and went to into being an artist. What was that like? What was happening? And then what led you through that journey?
Yeah, thanks for asking. There's been many different like chapters and level ups, and I feel like the theme throughout all of them has always been for me like going from people pleasing and validation seeking and yeah, just feeling like not loving and embracing who I was to really like realizing that and being like, oh my gosh, okay, I choose me and I'm going to have the courage to let go of, whatever identity or, life setup I've been in. And I've done that over and over again. So, like, the first yeah, the first big move was going from corporate to taking the leap, quitting my job and being like, I'm gonna go live my dreams, be an artist. I always wanted to live van life. And yeah, that was such a beautiful chapter. It was really magical. And I also got to then realize and face all the ways that like the hustle to prove myself and just like even the hustle of the way that we are taught to work in society, right? It's like this chase, and yeah, chasing success and also chasing like external circumstances. And so it was really interesting because when I was living van life and living my whole dream, like vending my art, doing this dream I had dreamed of for so long. There was so much that was so beautiful about it, and I definitely made the most of it. And I also just hit this moment where I was like, this is so crazy. I am the most free I've ever been in my life. I have no debt. I have no lease. I have very little bills to pay. I can go anywhere I want, whenever I want. Because my main like I would vend my art in person, but I was mainly online. But I realized that I still didn't feel free. And that was like this huge breakthrough that freedom is created from the inside out, not our actual circumstances. Like our circumstances can support that. But yeah, just like feeling worthy, feeling free, feeling present in the moment. Like I just realized how true it is that everything's created from within. And then another part of that was business was really tough for me because I had not learned branding, marketing, sales, any of the things that actually help you make money in business. So that was also driving a lot of my hustle. I didn't have like a structure or strategy to lean into, and I really resisted sales because I only knew the icky, manipulative way. And so it just felt so unsafe. Talk about like that energetic safety. It felt so unsafe in my body to have sales conversations because I hadn't yet learned this heart-led way of doing business. And so, yeah, I just like shrunk anytime an opportunity would come to me, and I barely made any money even though I was like living the life. I barely had income. And so, yeah, it got to a point where, I kind of hit a wall and I was like, all right, I need to figure this out.
Thank you for sharing that because that is kind of common where some of us these days, right? I'm talking about 2025, this era where we leave our corporate jobs or we leave some type of situation was that was out of alignment. And so we get the freedom, so to speak. We get the dream life. Like you had always wanted to do van life and here you are in your dream, minimal bills, and you had freedom in so many other areas of that lifestyle, but there wasn't the freedom of money. And for me personally, I'm not interjecting this on anyone or Indigo's experience, but for me, money represents freedom.
Mhm.
And I know it can be distorted. I know people can use it for evil. We all know that. We're all past fourth grade, okay? Like we know it's a tool and people can use it in any way that they want. But for me, I treat it as a pathway to freedom. So it's interesting because people, and I love that you're sharing this about your story because sometimes people just they have the vision, but they throw out the baby with the bathwater. I did that too, by the way. We
Mm,
forget about the structure,
yeah,
the
exactly.
practical things, that's
Yeah.
needed. I did real estate for 7 years. And even before real estate, I was selling something. I was always selling something. So like I'm like a professional salesperson for like 15 plus years, right? But I threw out the baby with the bathwater too, my first year of doing business. Luckily, I still did okay, but then eventually it started to catch up and I knew that it
Yeah.
was a sales issue, right? So and we're only highlighting this because or I'm highlighting this for us in this conversation because as conscious entrepreneurs, we can get in that habit of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So I love that you're reframing business and sales for the people that you work with, and you're using like your wisdom and like all of that to show people a different way, like an alternative way of doing business and sales. So love that.
Yeah, it was interesting too because like I had a ton of savings and so I was financially secure, but like I I didn't feel the flow of me giving and being in service to others and then receiving money like it is even if you have like that nest egg, right? I was missing that fulfillment of being in service. And so I also realized too, like money it feels so good to be in the flow of giving and receiving with that and also yeah to just really get to feel in service and so yeah that's when I started really learning business practices. I started a brand design business selling high ticket brand design services and that's when I felt like I really broke through to figuring business out. But what was so interesting is when I first started learning the strategy, I also went to the other extreme. So I went from like the total free spirit, no structure, to then like, okay, I'm gonna like muscle through this and figure this out. And when it really clicked and landed for me was when I realized that like it's energetics and strategy, because if we're just focus on strategy then it can become forceful and we can lose ourselves in that too. And so yeah, the sweet combo, like the sweet spot combo that I now teach is like yes, energy and freedom and liberation and the strategics and like they almost seem like opposites, but you know, it's like the masculine and feminine and putting them together is where the real magic happens.
Yeah, we have to dance with polarity. I feel like that's just a universal law. Like
Yeah.
I don't think we can get out of that one just yet. You know, maybe the more that we evolve, we can. Um, but yeah, that I'll touch on something that you said that currency, that circulating that currency is so important. I also had a nest egg too from real estate. So like savings account, I didn't have to make the daily money, but there was some type of complacency that was happening. There was some type of doubt that started to creep in. There was like I didn't feel like I was like, really contributing to people as much as I wanted to. And so it just kind of like I like to think of an ocean when I think of currency because there's a current in the ocean. Like that current in the ocean, it never stops. It's always hitting the shore. And then there's a
Yeah.
new wave and a new wave. And it's natural. It's not like stormy all the time. Sometimes those waves are calm and peaceful. So I love that. So I want to carry us into the next phase of this conversation.
Okay.
What do you think is part of building a business rooted in truth and self connection? I'm sure there's many things, but maybe the first thing that comes to mind.
The first thing that immediately came up for me is yeah, the process that I teach my clients is like energy first and then action. And so yeah, you said like rooted in truth and what was the other thing you said? Was it
Self
authenticity?
connection.
Self-connection. Okay, yeah, beautiful. And so my little one-two process for that is really to go within first and really check in with our intuition and really, you know, open the channels to get clear on like what is my truth, what feels really true for me to create and share with the world, and then go and build it. Or if it's already built, then go and share it or sell it, and then take the actions and build the structure. And yeah, speaking of how we like many spiritual entrepreneurs can get stuck in one extreme or the other, I that's kind of like the 1-2 process that I see. And when we can take the time to pause and really even just create space to be like, what is my truth? Let's actually connect with that. Then when you build from there, you know, it's going to be in such deeper resonance. It's going to feel so much better and easier to move forward with because you know it's coming from that genuine place.
Beautiful. So when you say energetics, like what do you really mean? Because most of us, we do meditate before we start our business or before we do our calls or like whatever, or we do our Kundalini yoga. Like, so
Right.
are you talking about the tools or are you talking about a different type of energetics?
So I'm talking about the combination of nervous system and subconscious mind and identity. And so that to me, that's like what kind of creates our energetics. It's like the state that we're in. And so, yeah, someone can sit down and meditate and be stressed out the whole time, you know? And I'm like, hey, that's okay, like no shade. Or someone can sit down and really be like going into a deeper place where they're connected and able to access their truth. And the way that I see it is like that's our natural state. And so it's really a matter of being able to, I don't even want to say quiet the mind enough, but like, yeah, just get into our, something I talk about a lot is like getting in sync with our natural rhythm. This is the first phase out of three in my mentorship program, The Inevitable Leap. The process that I teach, it's embody, clarify, and then calibrate. And so embody is all about like syncing up with our natural rhythm. And that's kind of like, it almost feels talking about ocean, the way that I experience like the energetics. There's so many different like layers to this, but I also experience there's like this current of our own natural rhythm. And when we can almost catch the wave, that is where we're the most connected to who we are and our truth. And it's like, yeah, it's like our own energy. Does
Yes.
that
Are
make
you
sense?
describing flow state? Are you describing the flow state, or is
Yeah.
it something different?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like flow state could definitely describe it.
How would you describe the flow state? You already gave us, I think, a really good description, but do you have anything you want to add to that for someone who may not know? I mean, I think people hear that term often,
Yeah.
and they're not sure like what that means, and there's different perspectives, but like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, totally. I love talking about this. Thank you for asking. So, part of the my process for helping clients get into the flow state is moving from the head down into the body and in the heart. And so, because I find that that's when it can most come through. And so, if you've ever been like on a walk in nature or even in a repetitive movement like driving or sometimes people can even get in the flow state like in the shower or washing dishes. It's like it comes through when you're like in the body and in the present moment. And it's that moment when it feels like you're not really thinking about things, but like ideas just come through. If you've ever experienced that feeling, and yeah, like I feel like it's called the flow state because you can kind of feel it. It's like everything's flowing. Whereas when we're not in the flow state, it can feel a little bit more like a push and a grind, or like we're really thinking hard to get the answer. Which there's a time and a place for that too, right? You know, I find the mind and the ego and logic to have an important role as well. But tapping into that flow state first can really like, yeah, just help use that energetic wave that you can catch to just get so much better clarity. And so, yeah, I would say it's like when you feel the clarity coming through and you just feel so present and not in your mind, more in your body. And then also there was something I was going to add. I'm trying to remember. Hmm. I lost it. Maybe it'll come back.
It always does. It comes back at the right moment. Um,
Yeah.
So beautiful. So we're talking about like the flow state and like, the energetics of alignment for business and just and for creation. Like if you don't like the term business, you guys, like recently I started using the word creation if that resonates because when we have a business or when we're entrepreneurs, we're creating services or products or something very useful for multiple people, right? So creation is also a good term, but what are the energetics from your perspective of misalignment? Either
Mm.
in business or in the person, which eventually does uh, show up in their business eventually. So what do you think that is?
Oh, that's a really great question. Also, the thing I was trying to think of came back. So I'll share that and then go into this because it's the perfect contrast. Another thing that I notice when I'm living in the flow state is that is the realm where just like synchronicities are popping off and like random, miraculous kind of, it feels like life is syncing up. So that's a sign you're in the flow state. Misalignment signs are, yeah, again, it's like that feeling really in the mind in a way that feels sticky, like you're overthinking everything. You're hiding, you're shrinking, you're not like there is not an openness, there's more of this contraction. And it doesn't feel like things are flowing, right? It's like there isn't that, oh, life is syncing up. It's kind of just things feel clunky. Um, yeah, I feel like I want to share some more tangible science too. I mean, it can be subtle, but something that I see come up with a lot with my clients is like they have this whole business plan, they have a content creation or marketing plan or something that they're rolling out, and logically it seems fine. It seems all well and good, right? But there's something in them that's just like something's off, and I don't feel like I want to move ahead. And a lot of what the classic business teachings can say is to like just put like bulldoze through that, and really just like push forward. And there's also a time and a place for feeling the fear and then doing it anyway. But like there's an important discernment that I notice of knowing how to discern when it is just fear of being seen or fear of failure or whatever. And like everything is in alignment and you got to just take the leap, versus when there's this stickiness around what you've created where something feels off and actually like something is out of alignment, and it's time to really get back in touch with your truth and really clarify what feels true for you, what actually came from someone else or some idea of like I should do this or it should be this way, and clear that up so that you can feel that full resonance. So I think resonance is another thing when it just feels like something is not resonating in your heart and your body. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. And besides the pushing past the resistance and the fear, what is something else from traditional business coaching or business strategy that might create more struggle than actual freedom in this era?
That's a great question. Hmm. Let me sit with that for a moment. So yeah, something else that could create more struggle. Yeah, I feel like the way I like to think of all the strategies is that there are principles, like these overall principles, and it feels really important to me to help people fill in their own magic inside of those principles. And I feel like there's this fine line where a lot of business teachings can cross over into like this is exactly how you should say it, or like yeah, almost like put too much constriction on it. And it's a tricky balance, right? Like to know where to draw the line of it needs to have all these, like for example, like your niche needs to have all this clarity around it. But yeah, I find that a lot of people that I work with and in my audience can get really confused about what their message is and what their mission is and what they really want to birth into the world, because it's been weighed down by a lot of shoulds with the strategy. And it's like they're not sure where they can insert themselves into it. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really important to highlight. And we're just doing this for contrast, you guys, just so you can like see what resonates. Like, do you want to stay with the traditional side of business strategy, or have you outgrown it? So like you could see what resonates in this conversation. Because I'm a salesperson myself, I will add to that and say what didn't resonate with me after a while with traditional business strategy is putting the process before the person. Like, yes, process and systems are so important, but if there's a person that's not fitting perfectly into that process, I feel like we need to accommodate them. And you have to have aware. You can't be like pushing through and ABC selling and like hammering something down and to notice, because otherwise this person is going to fall through the cracks, or they're just not going to. You'll lose them. They won't,
Yeah.
your message or your service is not going to resonate with them. But if you can sense, and this is where I feel like intuition comes in, because they may not say it, but if you could sense that they're not perfectly fitting into your process, you can kind of ask different questions or see how you can put the person before the process instead of the process before the person. Does that make sense? Do you have anything you want to add? Do you disagree, agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's so many different strategies and structures and ways to set things up that it's like it never needs to be this rigid forced thing. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I'm all about in my program actually, I help people find those strategies that and systems that resonate for them because I feel that's such an important piece of feeling that alignment. And it ties back into like the energetic safety thing I said earlier too. It's like I mean, neuroscience nowadays says that our actions are driven by like 95% of our actions are driven by our subconscious mind, and it's only 5% that is conscious. So even if someone's using that like 5% conscious willpower to try and force a structure that's not working for them, there's still the 95% of the subconscious that's screaming like this doesn't resonate for me. And so that's gonna come in and either have someone not taking action or the action just doesn't feel good. So it's not like the creativity in that flow state isn't flowing through.
Beautiful. So, what is a common struggle for either the people that you're working with, and even for yourself, and even people that you're just colleagues with, like everyone that you're observing in this dynamic, I guess, demographic. There we go. In this demographic of being a conscious entrepreneur, like what is the common struggle? I call it the in between. They're no longer they know they don't want to be in traditional business. They know the traditional business sales stuff is not for them. They may not yet all the way be in the new narrative, right? They're on their way. They've already started to walk between those two mountains. And there's always this in between with any type of transformation, any type of change. There's an in between. It's like I always see it in my mind as a clairvoyant, as a desert, like two mountains in a desert. You're hot, you're dry, you're dehydrated, you're going through the desert, you're trying to make it to your new narrative, and you're like, man, this is hard. I think I should just turn back. Right? So, like, and you went through this yourself as well. So, what
Yeah.
are some of the things that come up during that process?
I love talking about this. I mean, I feel like I go through this experience anytime I'm changing and upgrading my identity and my business. And so it feels like such an important piece to know how to navigate because it's like every new iteration of us, we get to go through this. And wait, what was your question? What's the most common struggle that I see?
Yeah, in the in between stage. For the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who are in between, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, what I see really is like it is like there's one foot in the old world or the old you and one foot in the next one. And I see this like toggle back and forth. It can feel so chaotic of like one day you're feeling amazing and expanded and like this is what I'm meant to be doing. Everything feels clear. I know who I am. Like I'm diving in. And then the next day, it's a natural part of the process of growth and expansion. Like the ego wants to keep us safe and so it comes back and tries to pull you back into staying the same. And so it can really be this back and forth. And I see a lot of people like in that in between, just not knowing which voice to listen to. And so a lot of my work is really with because since my work is a big like recalibration process into that next iteration of your work. A lot of the work that I do is helping people get both of those voices talking and really see like, oh, they're on the same team and actually they have the same goals. It's really just to, you know, they both want to keep me safe and they like it's like the expanded side is that's the protector of the dreams and the expansion, right? And then the ego is the protector of like survival and that kind of primal brain. And so when you can get those pieces talking and realizing they're on the same team and working together, then it can be a lot more stable process. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest challenge I see, and that can show up in like on the more practical, tangible level of like having an amazing idea of like, oh, this is the next offering I want to bring into the world. And then when that fear comes back in, it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm second guessing the clarity I had and like, reworking your niche 1,000 times or like 1,000, that's not even a number. But yeah, just like over tweaking, overthinking, and just that, yeah, that toggle back and forth of like having those amazing moments and then almost wanting to take them back.
Hmm.
What about you? What do you see in that in between?
I feel like I feel like it's fear of unknown because that new narrative again, just I'm so visual, you guys. So I literally see this in front of my computer screen as I'm talking, like these two mountains, desert in between. You know, you've already decided to do the work. You've already invested time, energy, money, ideas in the new narrative, and you could see it like it's physically there. You're in this desert, this oasis, and you just it's like, and it almost feels like it gets longer, like the journey gets longer. And I'm not saying there is or is not a destination, but I think the fear of unknown, like, is this going to be worth it? What will it look like? What will it feel like? Because our brain is constantly trying to calculate. And maybe that's another thing that was a program in traditional business. I mean, yes, we need matrix. You got to know if stuff is working, you know. Maybe we don't need to do the traditional KPIs, but you do need to kind of track something,
Mhm.
so that way you know if you're converting or not.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's the fear of the unknown. If you just lean into faith. So you guys know I do business and career coaching through astrology, right? So I have a whole different tool set than Indigo. It's just about, we're just talking about it from different angles. So it's like, yeah, if you can lean into faith and let go of that fear of trying to be certain about what it's going to look like, what the result is, and just be super, super present. I think that could help with that challenge of fear in that in between stage.
I love that. Yeah, faith is so huge. Just and it's like self-trust too, right? Faith in the greater and then also like faith in the calling that we feel. It's like, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I know that I feel this calling and I'm just gonna choose to trust myself and keep walking.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Mhm.
Another question about challenges. You mentioned recalibration a couple times, and I love that. Recalibrating, realigning. I think that's a word I use a little bit more often is realigning, but recalibration is the same thing.
Huh.
But what keeps someone for the people who know that they need to realign their business or they know they need to realign their energy? Maybe the business is fine and the person's not okay and it hasn't yet carried over because sometimes there could be a delay. And
Mhm.
they're like, well, I don't have time to work on my energy. My business is doing fine for right now. I'm just going to keep going. But like, what do you think can keep people from taking the time and the effort and the intention to realign or recalibrate?
I mean, the first thing that immediately comes up is that fear of the unknown again, right? Like a lot of the clients that come to me have trouble setting boundaries, for example. And yeah, like having physical and energetic boundaries in their client containers and just in how they do things and how they interact in the world, because that can trickle into business too. And so, in using that as an example, it can be scary to set up new containers or start saying no to things that you were allowing because you don't like with the recalibration, there is a letting go that gets to happen in order to create something new. And so, yeah, there's a lot of fear of the unknown that comes with letting go of old ways of doing things and old things that you were letting slip through the cracks. And yeah, there's also this fear of like, what if it doesn't work? And I especially see like with people who already have a successful business, maybe it doesn't feel right for them, but it's working, it's making money, it's functioning. There can be this big fear of like, well, if I realign everything to what feels true for me and what I really feel meant to do, am I going to give up all the success that I worked so hard to build?
100% agree.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I won't go into it, but I think also survival mode keeps us from
Yeah.
realigning because if we're so focused on survival, then it's just, your brain's going to tell you you don't have time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
Totally.
what is a anchor for you? What is a habit daily or weekly that um that really nourishes you in your energy as a conscious entrepreneur?
For me, it's nervous system regulation all the way. Like, I feel like that is something that can be so overlooked because it's not sexy or flashy. It's actually very calm and grounded. But that is everything to me. I mean, the way that I know the nervous system works, it's like when we're not regulated in our nervous system, that's when we go into that survival mode, and our view of like both physically and emotionally and like creatively, it shrinks because we're just focused on survival. But when we can keep the nervous system regulated or have the ability to recognize when we slip back into that dysregulation and survival mode, and then use, and I can share some nervous system tools too that are important for me. But yeah, when we can make that a priority, we can access so much more of our creativity, of the possibilities, and yeah, opportunities that are right in front of us.
I love that. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
So good. Well, we talked about so much good stuff in today's conversation, and it was fun. Like, we actually made, I think, maybe I'm biased, I think we made business and sales kind of fun.
I agree. That's the goal.
Like, we just didn't make it daunting. I don't think that's your nature or mine. Like, we literally just showed up, as we are. And yeah, so many good things in this podcast so far. As we wrap up, I want to get either a quote or a book recommendation.
Ooh.
And then right after that, I'm going to shout out your website and how people can connect with you. It's going to be in the description, so you guys just go down the description. But I'll give you the actual website in just a second. Do you have a quote or a book rec? Either one.
Definitely. So my book recommendation, I just showed my parents this book this summer actually, and they were so into it, and it reminded me of how powerful this book is. It's called Stress Less, Accomplish More by Emily Fletcher, and it goes into exactly what I was just talking about. I mean, the whole book is on meditation, and I'll admit, like, I was resistant to reading it when a friend recommended it to me because I was like, I've been meditating for over a decade. I don't need to read a book on meditation, like my ego was present. But then I gave it a chance, and I am so glad I did because yeah, she talks about meditation in a way that I've never seen anyone do before. She speaks very specifically to high achievers and people who yeah, can think that they don't have time for meditation. And she goes into all of the studies. It turns out like there's thousands of peer-reviewed studies all over the world on meditation that study and show how when we meditate regularly, it actually, like everything I was just saying, it expands our capacity in our brain, and it actually makes us more productive and more efficient. And so, yeah, that's like my favorite book to recommend to the high achiever who, yeah, can really benefit from the slowdown. And so that's
Thank
it.
you for that. And I love Emily Fletcher. Like, her content is so good. I haven't read
Oh,
that
yeah.
book, but
Oh,
seen her
cool.
content in other places. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
So
awesome.
good. So if you really resonated with the conversation today, please connect with Indigo. She'll shout out one powerful offer or a way that you could work with her in just a second. I'm going to give you her website. It's indigomarigold.com. Okay. INDIGOMARIGOLD.com. Again, it's here in the description. Just scroll down. You can click directly on it. And then we also have her Instagram, her Facebook, and her YouTube. And what is a one powerful way that people can work with you?
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. This has been such an awesome conversation. And yeah, I have a free mini class right now where I teach my process that I was describing in this podcast for helping you tap into flow state and into that frequency first, and then get the clarification on like what's lighting you up, what's draining you, and how to start to really rework business in a way that feels safe and sustainable and doesn't have to like sacrifice all of your success, and then going into branding, marketing, and selling from that more heart-led, more resonant space. It's called the Liberation Ladder. That's the framework. And yeah, I'll share the link with Vanessa so we can put it in the show notes, but it's indigomarigold.com/mini dash class, and it's free and it's 25 minutes. So highly recommend checking it out, especially if you've been resonating with our lens that we were talking about today.
Beautiful. Thanks again for your time, your energy, and your wisdom. It was truly an honor to have this conversation. If you guys love this episode, please send this episode to a friend. I'm sure you know someone who can really benefit from the value, the wisdom, everything that we talked about, all the energetics. Like, I really think so many of us need to be more aware of the energetics of business and structure and flow all at the same time. So be sure to share this episode. Namaste, everyone. Have a great day.